Coronation Street fans, here's your first look at Leanne Battersby's new romance storyline as Idris Nasir makes an instant impression on her. Show bosses have cast Junade Khan in the role of Idris, who is the cousin of established character Alia Nasir. Next week, Idris crosses paths with Leanne during a visit to Speed Doll and Sparks Fly. When Leanne later joins Idris for a drink in the Rovers, she suggests that opposites could attract. She's known for fiery outbursts, while Idris seems to be calm and level-headed. Idris clearly agrees, as he wastes little time before moving in for a spontaneous kiss. Watch the scene unfold below. Speaking recently about this storyline, show newcomer Junade commented, "They actually recognize each other from a family wedding where they sat at the same table. The connection is instant. He likes Leanne because she's real. He's used to flashy people, but when he sees Leanne fending off a group of guys who aren't paying their bill, he sees a strength in her that he admires. It reminds him of his own mother, who raised him as a single parent. He sees a strength in Leanne that he probably wishes he'd had in his own life. Working with Jane Danson has been amazing. Even on her day off, she came in to meet me. She's really made this experience special." Coronation Street's producer Kate Brooks has also said, "Idris is very charming. The charm oozes out of every pore of this guy. He's a savvy businessman and he's got a bit of a ruthless streak. He's not ready to get his hands even slightly dirty, but he can charm the birds from the trees." Idris is a new love interest for Leanne. The attraction is instantaneous. It gives Leanne a new lease of life. She's been harboring a deep-rooted resentment towards Toya and Nick, because that's the life she had. But then this guy comes along, he's got it all and he makes her laugh. He's funny, he's a handsome chap, and he ruffles a lot of feathers, but he's not without an edge. He's not soft and he's certainly no pushover. He butts heads with some of our more alpha characters quite early on. We're really excited about Idris, he's brilliant. The rain had been falling over Weatherfield all afternoon, turning the cobbles of Coronation Street into a slick, shimmering mirror of flickering streetlights and restless secrets. Inside the familiar walls of the bistro, however, the world felt strangely suspended, warm, dimly lit, and charged with a tension no one could quite name. Leanne Battersby stood behind the counter, wiping down glasses with a precision that betrayed her distracted mind. Business was quiet, unusually so. Only the soft hum of the fridge and the occasional clink of cutlery broke the silence. But Leanne wasn't alone in her thoughts. Idris Ahmed had been sitting at the corner table for nearly an hour, pretending to read a menu he had already memorized. He had arrived in Weatherfield only a few weeks ago, an investment consultant brought in to advise on a series of local business partnerships. That was the official story. The unofficial one was far more complicated. Leanne had noticed him the moment he first stepped into the bistro. There was something unsettlingly calm about him. Not cold, not distant, just controlled, as though he measured every word before letting it exist in the world. And worse, she couldn't stop noticing him. "Another coffee?" she called out, forcing brightness into her voice. Idris looked up from his untouched cup. "If I drink any more, I'll start believing I run on caffeine instead of blood." A faint smile tugged at Leanne's lips before she could stop it. "You already look like you do." He raised an eyebrow. "Is that a compliment or a warning?" "Depends how much sleep you've had." "None," he admitted. That made her pause. Something in his tone was too honest for a man who always seemed carefully composed. Leanne poured fresh coffee anyway, her movements slower now, more deliberate. When she set the cup down in front of him, their hands brushed, just briefly, just accidentally. At least that's what she told herself. A flicker passed between them. Not electricity exactly, but recognition. As if something unspoken had quietly been waiting for permission. "You're always here late," Idris said. "Comes with the job," she replied. "And the residents of Weatherfield don't exactly stick to office hours when they want drama served on a plate." A faint chuckle escaped him. "I've noticed." Leanne leaned against the counter, folding her arms. "And what about you? You don't strike me as someone who enjoys small towns and rainy evenings." "I don't," he said simply. That honesty again. "Then why are you here?" she asked before she could stop herself. Idris looked at her for a long moment. Outside, thunder rolled softly across the sky. "For work," he said finally. Then, after a pause that felt heavier than the rain outside, and because I needed somewhere people wouldn't recognize me. That answer should have raised questions. It should have created distance. Instead, it drew Leanne in closer. By the time the bistro closed, the rain had softened into a mist, wrapping the street in a silver haze. Leanne locked the doors, expecting Idris to leave as he always did, polite, reserved, disappearing into whatever temporary flat he was staying in. But he didn't move. "You're still here," she said, turning back. "I didn't feel like going out into that." He nodded toward the window. "And I thought you might want company while you close up." Leanne hesitated. Company was the last thing she usually accepted after a long shift. Yet something about the way he said it made refusal feel unnecessary. 5 minutes, she said. But neither of them moved after 5 minutes passed. Instead, they talked. At first it was trivial: Weatherfield weather, bistro complaints, the absurdity of customers who ordered just a salad and expected it to feed a family of 4. But slowly, the conversation shifted, became quieter, deeper. Idris spoke about cities she had never visited. Leanne spoke about mistakes she had made in rooms not unlike this one. There was no judgment in his eyes, only attention, and that, more than anything, was dangerous. At some point, silence settled between them again, but it wasn't empty. It was full. Leanne straightened slightly. "You should go before I start charging you rent for emotional support." Idris smiled faintly. "Is that a common fee here?" "Depends who you ask." He stepped closer then, slowly enough that she had time to step back if she wanted to. She didn't. The air between them tightened, like the world had quietly decided to stop interfering. "You don't trust easily," Idris said. "That obvious?" "It's not a flaw," he added. Leanne let out a small breath. "It usually is around here." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The street outside flickered with passing headlights, washing the room in brief flashes of light and shadow. Idris raised a hand, not to touch her, not yet, but close enough that Leanne could feel the intention behind it. "You should tell me to leave," he said quietly. "I should," she agreed. But she didn't. Instead, she stepped forward. And that was the moment everything changed. The space between them vanished like it had never existed. Idris's hand came gently to her cheek, steady but careful, as though he was still giving her every chance to stop him. Leanne didn't. The kiss wasn't rushed. It wasn't desperate. It was something far more unsettling. Certain, it held none of the chaos she had come to expect from her life in Weatherfield. No arguments. No misunderstandings. No sharp edges. Just stillness. When they finally pulled apart, neither of them moved away. Leanne blinked, as though trying to understand what had just happened without letting it become too real too quickly. Idris, however, looked like a man who had crossed a line he had been avoiding for a very long time. "I shouldn't have done that," he said softly. Leanne gave a quiet, almost disbelieving laugh. "Then why did you?" He didn't answer immediately. His eyes searched hers, as if the answer was something he didn't fully trust himself to say out loud. "Because I stopped pretending I didn't want to," he admitted. That honesty hit harder than the kiss. Leanne looked away first, breaking the moment just enough to breathe again. "This is Weatherfield," she said. "Nothing stays simple here." "I'm not asking for simple," Idris replied. That made her look back at him. For the first time, there was something unguarded in his expression. Not vulnerability exactly, but openness. A crack in the structure he always seemed to hold so tightly in place. Outside, the rain finally stopped. Inside, Leanne Battersby realized that whatever had just begun between them was not going to be easily explained or easily contained. And in Coronation Street, nothing ever stayed hidden for long. Especially not a kiss like that. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Coronation Street Scoop News Update.